and offered me the opportunity of a lifetime. Yes, from the turbulent war times of the 1940s.
The Onion welcomes the majestic Axis armies as conquering heroes.
To the free-spirited 60s.
And remember, there's nothing more cosmic than keeping your house insulated with Thermoflake brand asbestos.
I can truly say I've been here for the turning of the ages. But now, viewers, my beautiful 19-year-old wife and I will take our much-deserved retirement to my Genevan chateau. I wish all of my detractors empty, destitute lives. And for my allies, I hope for all the pleasures availed by heaven. So, finally, let me say one last time. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
No fear! No fear, no fear, no fear, no fear, no fear here and declare your independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Freedom's with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. Oh, I'm feeling good today. Oh, Elissa Hawke, okay? Elissa Hawke, she was a performer. Well, really, she just gave a presentation at Anarcho-Poco. She's known for her comedy, and I guess something to do with dick jokes, man. I mean, it was all they were waiting on, and she's like, no. Because they were like, no, it wasn't appropriate, I guess, in that setting. But she's well known, I guess, for comedy. I hadn't heard of her, but I really enjoyed talking to her and her presentation and what she had to say. And she sang. So this is a treat because she went through some experiences in Australia. She lives now in Mexico. And she went through some experiences that mirror a lot of things that wake up a lot of people here. And that's what I wanted to go through, from someone from another part of the planet, out of the Western Hemisphere, out of the Northern Hemisphere. I don't know about how much further you can get away from America, than Australia. But it's a lot of the same, similar kind of false flagging, doing whatever. And we want to get to know her because she was so kind, and I wanted to get her perspective on the show. She realized at a very young age, that she was not good enough, or worthy, despite recognizing the great creative spirit, within both herself and all things and all connectedness, knowing we can't help another until we have healed ourselves. The native Australian Elissa embarked on studies of psychology, natural medicine, yoga, and spent her early years attending to this wounded soul. Over the last 25 years, Elissa has treated people from all walks of life and teach yoga and meditation for all types, all ages, kids to grandparents. Always a writer, and irreparably damaged Elissa blossomed parallel careers into the healing art. I'm getting this, that she's kind of a people person. And that's one thing she was doing in the morning. There was always a yoga thing going on. There was Elissa down, doing yoga. So this is, I'm really glad that she's had the time to spend with us. Let's say hello to Elissa. How are you?
Ernie, I'm so excited to be on your show. I can't believe how much energy I just got off that intro.
I know. We remember that which matters most. We're still here. Damn it.
Yeah, you are cool.
Okay.
You are unreal. And I'm just happy to be on any show where somebody invites me to talk for 2 hours. That's like my dream.
Well, the reason is that sometimes you can talk to people and you're going through their their life, and I'm like, this is easy going to be 2 hours. I just, people think, 2 hours. I go, yeah, and it's going to be over in a heartbeat. You watch. Yeah. There was a young one, I think it was her name Molly. The girl that had the tattoos on her right arm. And I always am fascinated with, tattoos because I'm going, I bet every single freaking one of those was pain that you put on for a reason. Please tell me your story. Her arm is a story of her life. All the different. So I find that fascinating. So that's going to be a long show. But your experiences, we got to talk. I mean, after about 5 minutes, I'm going, 2 hour show. Show. So,
well, I can't honestly remember what I said at an Acapulco. I remember that I really wanted to make certain points more than any comedy, because it was such a great chance to be amongst these people. But of course, it ended up being a little funny. And I connected a whole lot of unconnected things for some people that they came up to me afterwards and said, it was good for me to link all these different things together, from the concept of God, what it means to each individual, to what a false flag is and how to tell when one's happening and what the result of it is in your loss of freedoms, to all these other subjects. And I just wanted to get them all together, and honestly, I will do that as a great comedy routine one day, but for that night, you guys just got something a lot rawer. But I'm interested, you must be, I know I talked about the Port Arthur false flag massacre that occurred in Australia, because that's how I started to wake up to false flags. And that must have pricked your ears up, because I know a lot of Americans are aware that things like Sandy Hook, I don't know if kids died or they didn't die, but it's part of the gun control agenda. And there was definitely a lot of acting going on. I don't know what your take on it is, but my take is that there were a lot of actors, and that was a big show. I don't know if the kids died or not, but anyway, back in 1996, I learned what a false flag terror event was, because we had one in Australia.
Well, what year was that? Okay, do you mind giving your age?
No, I'm 44.
Oh, my goodness, you look 28 and a half. Okay, so...
That's what the 19-year-olds say.
Okay, yeah, we got a...
And I assume... No, go on.
Well, we got a formatting thing on the site here. Let me do. I got to push a button. I'm all here by my. Okay, what we want to do is I want to hear about this, because it's interesting to me to be able to have a story that is so similar to so many people around the world, and I'm going, okay, well let's look at this. You were how old? What year was it? And why were you concerned about this gun thing?
Okay, well, basically, I've always been interested in psychology, and when I was about 30 or around 30, there was this event that happened in Australia in, I think it was 1996. And a guy called Martin Bryant, that's his real name, I'm just going like that because he was a patsy, and he may have been involved, but there was definitely a lot of other involvement when you do some research. If people go to my blog, elissahawke.com, I've got a long blog there, which is the culmination of my experience finding out about that false flag event, because it was a really hard thing for me to do. It took 7 years. Of not going from not believing that any faction of a government, even a shadow faction, could... it sounds like it's raining. Is that my end or your end?
Yeah, when we go to break, we may reconnect, because we got, stuff happens. But,
okay.
Well, you're in Mexico. I mean, get over it.
Yeah, I love it here. It's so beautiful. So I went along to hear this woman speak at a hotel, and she was one of the first people on the scene in this cafe where 20 people had been shot in the head. And I've studied anatomy. I'm just interested in blood and guts and gore and bodies, because I'm really interested in the human being. How can somebody shoot one person in the head? How can somebody shoot 17 people to head and neck shots in under 5 minutes, one-handed with the wrong hand that they don't use, and blah, blah, blah. And some of the best shooters in the world came out and said that this guy couldn't possibly have had that kind of a shooting record. It's like, it's better than anyone they know. So I went along to hear this lady speak at a hotel. I just wanted to hear her tell the stories of the brains falling from the roof into the bowls of chips, because I am interested in the darkness of life, I suppose. I wanted to hear how a woman could get through something like staying there and doing triage for 20 dead people and their wives sitting there holding their hands while they died, and their husbands sitting there holding their wives' hands. They were all in a cafe eating lunch, and a shooter came in and just shot all of them up, and then he went on a rampage around the site.
Well,
and shot more people.
We're going to talk about, you know, your awareness, and then what did you do?
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which.
Okay, yeah, we got. Let me check. There was some. Is the resolution settings on the that the same? Do you know?
Yeah, I haven't touched anything.
I don't know if you touched it. I need you to check the resolution to make sure if it's the same before I start doing all the work over here.
Okay, well, I probably have to.
No, just look at it. Don't stop it. Never mind. Go away. Don't worry about it. Okay. Yeah, we're just trying to get the full frame of the whatever computers. We're doing a bunch of new setting stuff for the show and whatever. The one thing that I wanted to make sure that we got, Elissa, was the story, because it has an impact on what you decided to do with this information by understanding what you were involved in your ideology and what you were thinking before. You know, so I'm going, you know, because this happened, you're in your 40s now, so you're obviously probably in your 30s. You know, you're young, you're beautiful, you go out, you're entertaining people, you're doing, and all of a sudden you have an opinion with audiences that you share with, and then your opinion changed. So I'm going, okay, so how does that work?
Well, I was doing this
and for the show, you got to save it for the show. Okay. But this is where I'm going, because that's why I wanted to do 2 hours. It goes like this. We want to get to know you.
It was 7 years in between finding out, realizing, and then going public with the information.
Well, see, the thing
it was even more than that. It was probably 10. It was 7 years when I started to talk, friends and family, but 10 before I said anything on the public record.
Well, you know, it's even before that. I mean, I go like this. This is where the 2 hour thing comes in. I go, let's see, your first memory, you were 3, 4, 5 years old, and you were brought up in kind of how out in the outback of the whatever. And then, you know, it goes from there. See, if you understand that, then you understand a lot of people start to empathize with you and how their circumstance is similar, and all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of people going down that road. And then, you know, with this information, how did it get fed? Was it suppressed? Why did it take 7-10 years? You know, what would have made it to where it was 1 year? What has the environment to where you lived and the people changed now for the next person that comes up with another false flag? Do they have a bunch of the information from you? They don't have to go through all these years of, you know, questioning and so on. You see my point? So I need to understand what kind of person you were before this, what you were advocating. The event happened. I don't need to get in all the details, because because we got 15 gazillion examples of detail, same crap. You know, it's just social and economic engineering and made you look and fear, and that's why we have the opening. We're not afraid. You know,
yes,
and because the fear is the
thing. I was really
thing.
afraid,
So I need to know why you were afraid and how you became unafraid. You see my point?
Well, I had people come take photos of me and then sit outside my house in cars for 3 months.
For the show.
Taking notes when I was coming and going.
For the show.
Yeah,
for the show. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll be back in about 30 seconds.
No worries.
And panels will be announced via the Keenvention blog and Facebook, so stay tuned there for the latest. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenvention this October 30th through November 1st. Tickets are available now at a special super early bird price of just $40 via credit card or Bitcoin. That $40 price only lasts through early March, so don't delay. Reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more and look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
To be a part of the show, call 602-264-2800. 602-264-2800. And now, Ernest Hancock.
You know, we're right back. I want to get right back to Elissa because this is, I don't want to waste any time. I want to get to the show, and this is what I wanted to do. When you have people that go through this that are performers, they have an audience, they talk to people, their opinion is out there. You know, a lot of times they feel that, you know, I'm going to share with you my perspective on news, on things that happen and going on, and you have a lot of influence, you have followers, and then when you change, do they change? You know, are they willing to change? Are there just is there ridicule? Or they go, oh, thanks for pointing that out. I'll go take a look at it. And then you start getting attacked. I mean, all this stuff. So being an entertainer in Australia at a false flag event. And the bottom line is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Elissa, but there was a big shooting, mass murder going around, 50 people kind of, and it's like, it's kind of the Sandy Hook thing of Australia. Well, then what happens? Oh, got to take all the guns. Guns are bad. They're bad. And then as you start to go through, who was it that had the most influence on you that kind of shifted you going, 9/11 is not what they said. Sandy Hook, not what they said. This thing's not what they said. How did that even come to your attention that you shifted your opinion?
9/11? I'd already...
No. The gun thing.
Well, the gun thing, I was woken up to around the Australian event. Even though back then I'm still not into guns. I don't want a gun. I don't need a gun. I've got a fry pan, you know? Like, if someone wants to shoot me, fucking shoot me. I think we can't be afraid of anything in this world because it's just, we all recycle. So anyway, getting back to your point about why I became aware of false flags is because... I didn't believe there was a retired police officer telling me that the Australian event was set up to change the gun laws, and I thought he was insane. But I wanted to interview the woman who was first there on the scene because she believed there was more than one shooter involved. But back then, I didn't believe that people would do such a thing, set up an event, actually kill people. The people in Australia, they really did get shot up. I mean, Sandy Hook, I think there was one body seen in a casket, but in Australia, 33 people were killed in one day by one shooter, apparently. And it's not the way it is when you look into it. But I was with this policeman. I went for a walk with him, a retired policeman, to his car to get a book so I could read it before I interviewed him for my community radio show, which was unsponsored, so I could say the truth, whatever I wanted. And when we were coming back, a woman in black clothes and a big long lens stepped in front of me and took a photo of me in this underground car park. And this policeman said to me, oh, that's ASIO. They're just letting you know that you're being watched. And I was like, oh, what a load of shit. I don't even believe that it's a false flag.
That's who?
Investigating.
ASIO? What's that?
ASIO, that's the Australian CIA. Anyway, so this policeman told me that I was going to be watched. And then I had people sitting out the front of my house for about 3 months. And I got really scared. And I shut up for about 7 years because I thought... these people are not afraid to take somebody out, you know. And then 9/11 happened, and then they said that they found the passport in the rubble of the terrorists. And I couldn't believe it because I had already woken up to the fact that events were staged. They might be real, and people might really die. I know people really died on 9/11. I'm sure people really died and got hurt in the London bombings, the Bali bombings. But they are set up events to be blamed on one person, but they're actually done by this international shadow government. So once I learned about that, I got scared, but then I got disgusted at myself for being scared because I started to realize when I would talk quietly to people about it, they would all be like, yeah, shut up, that can't be true, you're crazy. And I realize everyone is scared. And I just am so sick of blaming people for things that they didn't do. And I don't want to be responsible for that on my conscience. So I have to speak the truth that I find.
Why?
Because if you lie, it's like farting in the face of God, nature, love.
Oh, there's a word picture. Okay, so the main
God is a man.
The main thing is that there are certain personalities and character traits that identify. It can be easily identified by getting to know people, or they do questionnaires or something. And it's usually, from my experience in doing thousands of interviews, there is a certain personality trait that is, I think, predominant in a lot of people, such as yourself, that comes out. And it is a sense of justice. It's something hardwired to where...
I just believe in evolution, Ernie, and I want the being of Earth and the whole planet and the whole galaxy to evolve, and it's not going to evolve while we lie. It slows everything down. It retards everything. If we tell the truth, everything speeds up faster and faster, and in a few weeks we'll be able to fly.
Oh, score! I agree.
Okay.
I agree. Well, that's why it's Uncovering the Secrets, Exposing the Lies here on Freedom's Phoenix. That's our slogan. So when we first started over a decade ago, they go, well, Ernie, do you have a slogan? Uncovering the Secrets and Exposing the Lies. I mean, you do that,
really?
Stuff happens. So
and there's never a shortage of shit to talk about.
Yeah, no. There's never a shortage. Well, how is it that what was your career? I had not heard of you until, a lot of people were fans, of course, at Libertopia.
Nobody's heard of me.
Well, tell me.
I'm a massage therapist who does comedy sometimes to a room of 8 people who mostly don't like me. It's like, of course I'm not famous. Nobody has anything to gain by pushing me. I'm just going to strip the entire world system to bits if anyone pushes me. So nobody wants to push me, and I've lost all my drive. I used to have drive to get to the top of the music industry or the comedy. I don't have any drive for that anymore. One, because my ego's a little wet down now, and 2, because I know who runs the top of all these industries, and I'm not interested in associating with those people.
Well, what was it that got you moving from Australia? I mean, you're in Australia. Are you from Australia originally?
I think originally I'm from the beginning of time itself. And, we're all ageless, endless souls that just recycle. And the reason I left Australia was because I wanted to go to this place in Guatemala where there's a temple, because I remember something from a past life there. And I thought Mexico's a nice, friendly way to break my way into traveling into Guatemala, because I was by myself and I was first time out of Australia, really, And
how long ago was that? How old were you?
Well, the first time I left Australia, I was 31, but the second time, which is this time, I consider was like 6 years ago, so I was 38 or 39.
So you're on a path of what? You're looking to discover and live what? What's going to make you satisfied and happy and done?
I just want to know myself. I just want to let myself be and know what I am, and I just want to see what comes through, because I really believe that we are just a vessel for the spirit, obviously, because when the body's dead on the ground, you can kick it and nobody complains. The spirit is not the body, they're separate, and that's one thing we've been heavily brainwashed on, because once they get us to identify with our ego, we're completely controllable. Completely owned, completely small,
Bigger. How big can you be? Well, I don't know. How big is existence? Then you can be part of it. Elissa Hawke is, on a journey, and she's going to share some of her life with us. She had a lot of interesting things to say, and it's a positive thing. I want to be positive. We'll be right back.
This is Donna Hancock with Brangus Realty in Arizona. Now more than ever, we have to seek out good investments to help secure our future. The real estate market across the country today seems to have recovered. Inventories are low, housing prices have gone up over the past year, and money is available to lend. But you must be careful to read between the lines of what the mainstream news is reporting. There is a shadow inventory, and the market is manipulated by a multiple number of factors. And we will need to anticipate this flux and prepare for the next market downturn in housing. There are many communities across the country today that have a growing mindset of preparing to ride out the financial storm. And Arizona is one of those places. If you are interested in moving to the desert Southwest, where we have 3 to 4 growing seasons a year, and the sun is readily available for anything solar, I will be here to help you when that time comes. Feel free to use my webpage at donnahancock.com to search for Arizona properties that are of interest to you. And please, feel free to call me at 602-828-1819 to discuss options for your move to Arizona.
The chimpanzee spends most of its day in the jungle, carelessly swinging from tree to tree and picking mites off itself, instead of building shelter and teaching itself how to read. This chimp is named Bolo, and researchers at Duke University have shown that he can solve 3-dimensional logic puzzles, an impressive feat indeed, until you learn that human children as young as 3 are also able to solve the puzzle. Even a mentally handicapped human is capable of verbal speech, something no chimpanzee has ever been able to accomplish, despite working vocal cords capable of howling in irritation after soiling itself. Chimps have been observed using tools, but their tools are little more than sticks. Even driving and preparing pancakes, tasks we leave to the stupidest, least educated humans, lay beyond the capabilities of the chimp.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock. Whoa! Our new friend, Elissa Hawke. Elissa, how did you come to the attention of, the Berwick and such to come attend and be part of the performing and stuff? Because you don't live in Acapulco, do you? Do you hear me? Hello? Elissa? No, I think she doesn't hear me. Now, let's go ahead and, I tell you what, let's go ahead and turn this off, and we'll do it again. I got you there. Do you hear me now? Hello? Are you hearing me now, Lisa? No? Okay, well, we'll just try audio. We'll do it again. And we'll do that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can, but my headphones have stopped working. It's coming out, but we'll try again.
Okay, now we got you. Oh, got to be able to talk to you. Okay, when you moved to Mexico, how did you come to the attention of a narco poco? What party were you at with Jeff Berwick that came about?
So I used to do a show last year. I went to England last year to make was it last year? I can't remember. I think it was to make a show for the People's Voice. And somebody had seen me on that, and they were like, oh, it's a girl who's an anarchist. And apparently there's like 15 of us publicly around the world. So they told Jeff to get me on the show. And so I did. Jeff, and I was living at my mum and dad's house in Canberra at the time. I was quite depressed. And so it felt nice to have Jeff call me up and interview me about really the bottom line of what's driving my life the last few years, which is the realization that anarchy is natural, it's the way to go, it's the way we're very definitely headed, and it's the way I already am, so just come around to my way of thinking.
Well, define that. When somebody says you're an anarchist, they go to, Ernie, what are you, an anarchist? I go, I don't define that. I'm a leave me alonist. I don't know what you're talking about, so
yeah,
what do you mean?
I just say no rulers. How can anybody rule over anybody else? They don't have
with a gun.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's how they can. But you can get a gun as well, and it doesn't make you a ruler over your police force. It's like those guys have the right to have guns, and we don't. I don't want the right to have guns. I don't even care if other people have the right to have guns. I just personally don't want anybody to have the right to rule over anybody else. I think it's ridiculous. It just makes no sense. It's like we're on this planet with hall monitors. And I just can't stomach it. It's like, what are the school captains, the police? It's like none of us have the right to have any power over anybody else unless we earn it from within ourselves and unless that other person wants to give it over to us,
Yeah, no, you can, I guess, voluntarily be a slave, but then they go, well, it doesn't work if we don't make everybody slaves to fund what we want to do and how we want to do it. And I even had this discussion. I got to tell you this story. It's a long story. I was at a big event for whatever, and there was a lot. It was a socialist type environment, and being the libertarian there, doing media and so on. One of the young kids comes up and he goes, "Well, now you don't understand, how this works." Well, one of the main guys that have been around since the 70s there, he goes, "No, I've known a lot of libertarians that have been at our communes or our families or collective living of whatever," and they're looking at me. Libertarian? I go, well, yeah, it's called families. I mean, it's individual decision. You can do whatever you want. You just can't force people. You can't make people give it there. You can't steal from them. You can't, as long as it's not coercive, you can do whatever you want. That's what freedom is. And the kid looks at me, and he's probably 18, 19. He goes, yeah, but then it doesn't work. I go, I think we're done here. If your idea only works when you got a gun to my face, and taken from me for whatever you want, then man, you got bigger issues, and that's really what we're up against, don't you think?
Ernie, I love that you just know when to back out of an argument. It's like, okay, there you are. Thanks. I'll see you later. That's what we have to do in the world of anarchy. We have to walk away from people who insist on having power or giving power to others to have over us, like by voting or by paying their taxes to this bully, to the bloody overseer. I was at a workshop with a healer the other day, and well, I'd had discussions about anarchy, and she's older than me, and she's she's 10 years or more older than me, and she's just still one of these people who says, "Oh, we need government, or you can't trust people. There's very naughty people in the world, and without government, they'll eat us." And it's like, no, I said, why don't we stop giving psychopaths and sociopaths the jobs in government? Because if there was no government, those people would have to be out on their own with their own small businesses, They would have to be out there working in the real market, and the fact that they're an asshole would mean that they'd get hungry really fast. Whereas, as it is, they've got a 50-year salary plus a retirement all paid for because there's a place called government for these assholes to sit in.
You know, that sounds like a bumper sticker we got to come up with. It'd be something like, in anarchy, assholes starve. You know, something like that.
Yes, that's a beauty. Make a T-shirt, Ernie. Good idea.
Yeah, no, it's got to be something like that. It's, did you see the shirt that was laying up there that said, "Kill the President"? There was a shirt. I didn't show it because it had the word "kill" in it. It just seemed kind of, I didn't really want to pimp it. But Bitcoin not
kill the precedent. It's like kill the shit that we're in the middle of and that we have had up until now, and let's get on with living on this planet together.
Well, it was a idea from Davi Barker from Bitcoin Not Bombs, and he goes, "Would you wear this shirt?" And this is a year ago, and he drew it on a napkin.
He's
I go,
the guy from Cambodia, Bitcoin, isn't he? No.
I'm sorry?
But even still, is he the guy from Cambodian Bitcoin?
No. He's from San Francisco. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a kind of philanthropic fundraising. They started it with antiwar.com because they were surveilling anybody that would donate. So they go, fine, we'll just do Bitcoin. But anyway, what happened, he came up with this idea and kill the precedent. And I'm going, and Bob Murphy, one of economist that's well known up here in the Liberty Movement, he goes, yeah, that's a spelling test for cops, So I'm going, yeah, in another country, you have, I'm not sure they'd understand kill and precedent. They might confuse with presidente, and you have the palace. And I'm going, yeah, let's not cause more problems than we need. But Nima Vadavi, that performed there, Nima, he took it and told me, pinky swear, we're going to have him, Donna, get him on. Nima said he was going to wear it coming back through customs into the U.S., So I'm going.
He's unbelievably cool. He's so cool. But you know what? He got through. So whether he wore it or not, he's so charming and loving that even a grumpy customs person with a hemorrhoid would still let him through because his energy is so beautiful. That's what we have to do, is we have to change ourselves so that when we come up to these assholes in their daily lives, all grumpy because they've given 35 years to the TSA or to their stupid desk job, clicking on things for money so they can pay off their stupid apartment and blah, blah, blah. We have to go past those people with an energy that reflects to them their goodness, if it's possible. Some days it's not possible. But I bet Nima could get past anybody, man.
Oh, he did the movie, him and Michael W. Dean did a movie called Guns and Weed. Did he tell you about that?
No.
Oh, yeah. No, just look it up. Guns and Weed. And it's all about the relationship between the freedom aspects of gun ownership and what you put in your body. He goes, it's the same issue. It's a freedom thing. So these guys are very creative. You
can't cross the road, and it's as if they care for you, but then they want to vaccinate you, give you genetically modified corn, give you a microchip, tell you you've got to pull your pants down at the airport.
We're going more with Elissa Hawke from Mexico when we come back on Declare Your Independence in just a little bit. See, I told you it'd be interesting.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the realtor Mark Warden. Do you want a home with 20 acres, a lakeside cabin, any takers for renters, buyers, and sellers too? Mark Warden is the guy for you. PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using...
Yes, I am. Okay, the Guns and Weed, a film by Nima Vadadi and Michael W.
Sounds amazing.
It's fun. I mean, it's kind of, well, I tell you, a lot of time, the reason it's so effective is because you have a lot of people in the gun community, you know, they're Second Amendment this and, you know, and my freedom, my life, but they, you know, don't really see the benefits of not having the government in your life on what you put in your body. So by doing the, you know, being hardcore on guns and hardcore on you own yourself, Guns and Weed was a really good educational thing for the gun enthusiast and the weed enthusiast on guns. So it was just an awesome idea, and they did a really good job of it, you know. So
it's really timely because not only are we getting now past realizing they don't have a right to tell us we can't use some substances, we're finally waking up to that. It's not like people haven't always done what they wanted. That's why I say everyone's an anarchist. We only obey the rules while the police are watching or the rules that we respect. So everyone is an anarchist. There's 16 million rules. Everyone is an anarchist. Some people are just pretending they honor the state. And I just don't like that kind of bullshit. So
you know, the anarchy thing to me was well, we already live in an anarchist world. I mean, exactly. unless I'm in prison, I mean, I make my own decision when I get up and what I do, you know, making me until you go out and some cop, you know, targets you for I'm going to make me some money. But you know, it's and that's where Bitcoin kind of comes in. We just had on the hour before you a young woman, her husband, and their new baby, Neo. He's named Neo. Cesarean in the hospital, no birth certificate, no social security number. And it's called Undocumented Human Bitcoin Tour. And it's just, and they're, look, well, here we go.
At LRN.FM.
It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
You grew up tall and proud in the shadow of the mushroom cloud. Wish our voices can be heard. Just wanna scream louder and louder. What the hell are we fighting for?
Yeah! What we fighting for here on Declare Your Independence from here in Hancock here in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, truth, justice, and I don't know, it used to be that American way, whatever the heck that is. You know, that's one thing from someone that's lived around the world and traveled, you know, from, started off in Australia as her, earthly reincarnated existence began in this cycle. You know, she's in Australia, goes to Mexico. This American way, this mythology of America, how... Did that get shattered, or is it the people or the government? Because I'm like seeing now they talk about the USG a lot when they, you know, you're writing different. Well, the USG this and USG that, where it used to be USA or America or American people. Now they're separating the two. They go, nah, USG, United States government did it. You know, I go, hey man, we're under occupation just as much as all these other guys are. We're just under occupation, so we understand the occupation. You think you're under occupation in the Middle East? No, hey, we got them right, you know, freaking out in front of our house. So I'm going, you know, this is, we got some issues. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, this America thing, you know, is that still alive in your mind, or is it they're the biggest bully on the block, or American people, or people around the world different?
Ernie, I feel like I'm just as bad as America myself. I mean, whenever I did pay taxes until I was like 24, I paid taxes to the Australian government, but I know it goes all up and up and up and up and up. straight to pay off the private families that own the Federal Reserve. So I don't think Australia is better than America. We're worse because we don't have the balls to stand alone, and we get bullied into supporting. But our government is full of Zionist stooges, like every government that in all of these countries that are controlled by the Rothschild central banks. So yeah, I see it all the same, all the way around.
Okay, so then that brings us to technology like Bitcoin. When did you become first aware that you even care? Is that on your radar screen at all?
Bitcoin, I'm taking my time with that because I've just been so sort of screwed over from within this community, from my experience going to England, realizing that 30 or 40 or 50% of the people working to change the world were really sent in as agents or something. I'm not in a rush. Plus, I don't even have money to buy eggs. I don't have money to buy money in a different form. I don't have a lot of money, and that's because I am always, I'm not interested in money. I'd much prefer to have free time. But I earn enough so that I know I have food tomorrow, and then I sort of panic in, the next morning.
You get motivated.
I've been like that for so long now. It's at least 20 years, like living like that I'm starting to learn that, the universe will provide and that it always comes from somewhere. And it's quite often my mum and dad still, which really upsets me. But at the same time, they help out my brothers too. So I feel like that's one of the ways that they've just been wonderful parents,
Well, do they have the resources? I mean, are they,
They do. They're the sort of parents that sit on a lot of money, or not a lot of money, I shouldn't even say that, but they have got money in the bank in a way that I never have. And sometimes I think as a soul, I probably chose to come into a family like that because it's really weird. When I was young, they were really hard on me with money and borrowing, and they still gave me what I need. But the older I've got, I said to my dad a couple of years ago, I said, you must be really deep down supporting what I do, even though you hate it and you say I'm a conspiracy theorist and you don't agree with anything I talk about. You must secretly be proud of what I do, or you wouldn't give me money. You know what I mean? If I was doing drugs on the street, I'm sure they wouldn't give me money. But in a way, they know deep down that I'm trying my best to live independently of the system and do much more than that. Change the world, not just for me and my children, if I have them ever, but for all people, really. I think that we all have to make an ideological stand against being governed over by illegitimate forces,
that's one thing, to have someone in your position. It's often that I'll meet anarchists that are more of the left, right? Yeah, I should, be supported and be an anarchist and being outside the system and somebody give me some food and rent. I mean, but from your perspective, of course, it's a voluntary decision on your parents, but I'm kind of, you're not really advocating that, somebody be forced to provide your way, are you? I mean, that's not your...
No. I often would rather I would kill myself rather than ask for money. But I don't believe I'll actually die if I kill myself. I believe my soul will have to go back through primary school and I'll have to suffer all this shit again. So I actually don't ask. I don't want to expect. My problem is that, my parents were generous with my brothers, and so there's a part of me that I know if I take a small risk and I end up not being able to pay my rent, I know that, my parents wouldn't let me sleep on the street, most probably. But at the same time, there may be a day where they say, no, we're over it. But you know what? I would still choose to sleep on the street rather than sell out and do something in the system to make money. But it's not like I don't work. I work as well. But it's just that sometimes when you set up your own business and you're in another country and, they would help me if I was living in Australia. That's the way it is. But because I'm in the other side of the world, look, everyone wants to be a success and buy their parents a house, don't they? Everyone wants to pay their parents back for all the great stuff they've done. I can only hope that if my parents die before I ever make any money, then I will pay it backwards to my nephews and nieces or to somebody else's parents or to someone. But I know that around and around energy goes, and money's just energy, and really, I actually think my parents don't mind spending a bit of money looking after me. I think they're interested in watching what happens. And if they really thought I was getting worse and worse, I don't think they'd support it.
Well, worse and worse what? Being negative or...
Well, you do get into negative things. Like on and off for 5 years, I've needed to be rescued with my parents several times, every few months sometimes, and it's embarrassing. But it's just, if I was in Australia, I'd probably be on the dole while I was supporting my own business. And I don't have a problem with that either, Ernest. We've all been defrauded by the government since birth for generations. If you can get any money out of your government any way at all, go for it. But if it harms you, like if you have to join the army to get money out of the government, then just stop it when it's becoming too harmful for you, you know? But in general, I don't have a problem with people taking money off the government ever, anywhere, if they can get it, because the government is defrauding all of us. It's taking all of the wealth that is collectively ours. It's mining the resources and everything, and it's also harvesting us from our birth certificates on.
You know, that's one thing that you ought to be encouraged by the undocumented human Bitcoin tour, to where a young activist, you remind me a lot of her. She was in the Mormon church. She grew up in that kind of environment and just broke free and became an anarchist and freedom-oriented Ron Paul revolution kind of individual. Wanted to have a child and named it Neo. Neo, cute little kid. You know, he's probably not even a year old yet, and he's got his own Bitcoin wallet. You know, he's learning unbanking. And the main thing was is she did not want him to be a slave to the state. So even though she had to go to the hospital for emergency cesarean, she was able to get out with her baby with no birth certificate and no social security number. So this is...
Yeah. They give you few weeks to sign up, and they just assume you'll do it. And if you read the contract from all the governments, it says you must register. And if you read Black's Law Dictionary, must means may in legalese. So you don't actually have to. You just think you have to because everybody knows you have to get a birth certificate. But how can anyone force anyone? But then again, Mary Croft, if you know her, she wrote the book How I Clobbered Every Bureaucratic Cash Confiscatory Agency Known to Man. Do you know of her?
No.
She's one of the geniuses of this movement. She came before anyone I know, and her book is free on the internet. Just Google How I Clobbered, and you'll get the book coming up. It's on the Crow House website right now. Mary's just shut her website down, but she's writing a new book, and she's one of the greatest minds on the planet about money.
How I Clobbered. Donna, look it up. Her name's Mary. How I Clobbered Every whatever. Now you do that. Well, you know, more with Elissa. You know, it's kind of, you know, you want somebody that comes to this awareness, somebody that has these opportunities, someone that has, you know, lived this life. You know, what about romantic relationships? What about traveling? What kind of documents does she have to do that? What does she have planned for the future? Or is she just going to be a bright light on the horizon for someone to say, hey, the dawn's breaking over there, I'll go that way? You know, there's a lot of positive aspects that are coming out of Elissa. I really enjoyed our time together. And I just wanted you to see that there are people like this all over the world that have been influenced by finding out about government lies. And it blows everything out.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the...
Okay, now we have a break that's 8 minutes. We come back at 6 minutes after the hour. So I'm going to take a break. I got some work to do and everything. And what we'll go ahead and do is we'll get right back to you when we come back. But so don't be gone. Like 5 minutes after, we'll check and make sure the connection's good and everything, and then we'll get going, okay?
Or anything.
All right, we'll be right back.
The world.